So good day everyone. Now we will be discussing the topic of solid tumors. For the group members, we have Marqueso Shannon, Maudi Ken, yours truly, Faye Narvaez, and Sakai Vel. So let's begin with the objectives. So first, we have to understand the definition, classification, and causes of solid tumors. Second is to identify the clinical manifestations and diagnostic methods for solid tumors. Then explain the pathophysiology, including tumor growth, angiogenesis, and metastasis. Then lastly, discuss the treatment options and patient care strategies for managing solid tumors. So next, for the definition or introduction, solid tumors are abnormal masses of tissue that develop from the uncontrolled growth of cells in solid organs or tissues. These are distinct from hematologic cancers, which affect the blood and bone marrow. Solid tumors can appear in various body parts such as the breast, lungs, prostate, and colon. They are classified based on their tissue origin. For example, is the carcinomas arise from epithelial cells, and sarcomas come from connective tissues like bone and muscle. Understanding solid tumors is essential because they display distinct behaviors like uncontrolled proliferation, evasion of cell death or apoptosis, and the ability to invade surrounding tissues. The tumor microenvironment consisting of the surrounding blood vessels, immune cells, and molecules also plays a major role in supporting the growth and survival of these tumors. Now let's move on to the etiology or causes of solid tumors. So solid tumors formation involves a complex interplay of genetic, environmental, and lifestyle factors. Where the genetic mutations are at the core, these mutations may be inherited or acquired due to exposure to carcinogens like tobacco smoke, radiation, or harmful chemicals. These mutations can lead to activation of oncogenes, resulting in uncontrolled cell growth, um, and activation of tumor suppressor genes, leading to loss of growth regulation. DNA repair defects, which increase the chances of further mutations. Environmental factors such as UV and ionizing radiation, as well as viral infections, also contribute. And lastly, lifestyle factors like poor diet, lack of physical activity, alcohol consumption, chronic inflammation, and hormonal imbalances can increase the risk of developing solid tumors.
So let's proceed with the pathophysiology of solid tumors, where it begins with genetic mutations. Normal cells become cancerous due to changes in the DNA that affects cell division and death. And there are two key gene categories involved, which are proto-oncogenes and tumor suppressor genes. So when a proto-oncogene becomes mutated, it forces the cell to keep on dividing. For example, HER2, which is overexpressed in breast and gastric cancers, drive continuous growth signals. CRAS, another example, which is common in colon and lung cancers, keep growth signals active regardless of outside stimuli. On the other hand, tumor suppressor genes like TP53 and RB1 act as brakes. TP53 helps repair DNA or initiate apoptosis, but when it's mutated, damaged cells survive and divide. BRCA1 and 2 mutations impair DNA repair, making cells more prone to mutations. So this imbalance between growth promoting oncogenes and defective suppressors lead to uncontrolled abnormal cell proliferation. Moving on to cellular and structural changes, These cancer cells show one, loss of differentiation, where they no longer look or act like normal cells. Two, resistance to apoptosis. And three, immune invasion by hiding from immune surveillance. They also alter their environment by promoting angiogenesis, creating new blood vessels to supply nutrients and oxygen. Next is tumor growth and spread, where tumors initially grow exponentially, then slow as they enlarge. It is a pattern called Gompertzian growth. As the tumor gets bigger, fewer cells are actively dividing, and the inner regions may become hypoxic or necrotic. So eventually, cancer cells invade nearby tissues and spread through the blood or lymphatic system. This phenomenon is called metastasis, which is the hallmark of malignancy. For example, in prostate cancer, it often spreads to the bone, and in breast cancer, it may spread to lymph nodes, lungs, or brain. So let's move on to clinical manifestations of solid tumors. The symptoms vary widely but can be grouped into non-specific, local, and metastatic symptoms. So for non-specific symptoms, these are systemic signs caused by the tumor's metabolic activity and inflammation. One, weight loss, which is due to the tumor-driven catabolism. Number two, unexplained anemia, which may suggest bone marrow infiltration or chronic bleeding. Number three, malaise, fatigue, and pain, which often stem from cytokine release such as TNF alpha and IL-6. Moving on to local symptoms, this depend on the tumor's location and how it interacts with surrounding tissue. Number one, bleeding from a site like rectal bleeding in colon cancer can indicate mucosal invasion. Number two, a non-healing ulcer, especially in the mouth or skin, reflects poor healing from local invasion. Number three, persistent cough or hoarseness may be due to a lung or laryngeal tumor compressing airways or nerves. The most common sign is a painless lump, often felt before other symptoms appear. Next, proceeding to tumor progression, a tumor becomes clinically detectable when it contains around 10 to the 8 power or 10 to the 9 power of cells. By the time it reaches to the 10 to the 12 power of cells, about 1 kilogram of its mass, it is usually in the terminal stage already. Moving on to the metastatic symptoms, sometimes the first signs aren't from the primary tumor, but from the metastasis already. So first example is bone pain, which is common in prostate cancer, which tends to spread to the bone. Tumor cells stimulate osteoclasts through PTHRP, breaking down the bone, causing pain. Next example is neurological deficits, which arise when tumors metastasize to the brain. And depending on the location, symptoms can include seizures, muscle weakness, or signs of raised intracranial pressure like headache and vomiting. Common primary sources are lung, breast, and melanoma. So that's it. Next reporter, please.
So now let's move forward to the diagnosis of solid tumors, which is a very critical component in guiding appropriate treatment decisions and predicting the patient outcomes. So when we say diagnostic process, it is a solid for solid tumors. It involves several steps, and it utilizes a combination of clinical, histological, and imaging modalities to ensure an accurate and thorough assessment of the disease. Now, let's start with the gold standard of diagnosis, which is the tissue biopsy. So tissue biopsy involves extracting a tissue sample from a suspected tumor site. It can be performed via surgical excision or through image-guided biopsy methods, depending on the tumor's location and accessibility. Ang mga common sites where biopsy is routinely performed include lungs, breast, colon, and prostate. So once na ang tissue is na obtained, um, mag-proceed na sa histopathological examination. This analysis is identify niya ang mga tumor types which allows our clinicians na i-differentiate ang mga different types of tumor such as adenocarcinomas, squamous cell carcinomas, and sarcomas. It also distinguishes between small cell and non-small cell types in lung cancer. In lung cancer. Wait guys, na ano ko kay sa chat trivial kanang na uy, na-distract ko. Ay, dili na ilawat, ano ko lang, i-stop. Sino ko banda? Mabatian ko?
Oo, oo.
Okay, wait, i-resume ko na lang. Bala na lang eh.
Sige, diretso lang.
Wait lang. Asa na to? Oh, wait. Nabasa lang pag wait. Asa na to? Shit. Wala ko to. Sugod ako. I'm sorry for the delay. Um, in addition to biopsy, we use tumor markers such which is the proteins or molecules secreted um, either by um, either by tumor cells or by the body in response to cancer. They can be found sa blood, tissue, lymph nodes, bone marrow, or body fluids. So, ang mga tumor markers have several purposes. First is they aid in diagnosis. Two, in monitoring response to treatment. Three is predicting or estimating prognosis. Next is detecting recurrences and even in screening individuals in high-risk groups. So, examples niya, which is here sa table 53.2. Um, as we can see, di ba may mga tumor markers like CA125, which is an indicative cancer for ovarian cancer, although non-specific, and PSA for prostate cancer. So this is the examples of kinds of tumor markers and their indication kung saan na-detect ang mga tumors. Um, Another essential aspect of diagnosis is tumor staging and grading, which helps na mag-guide sa prognosis and treatment planning. So, ang staging is typically done using the TNM classification system, which are the tumor, nodes, and metastases. So, for tumor, it ranges from T0 to T4, and ginadescribe niya ang size and extent of the primary tumor. N naman is for nodes, which ranges from N0 to N3, which also indicates the degree naman of regional lymph nodes na na-involve. And for the M, which is the metastasis, it's either MO or M1, and nag-represent sila ng if there is an absence or presence of distant metastasis. So alongside staging, we have tumor grade, which describes naman kung gaano ka-abnormal ang tumor cells under the microscope and kung gaano sila kabilis lumaki. So we have two types of grade tumors, which are the low-grade tumors and the high-grade tumors. So when you say low-grade tumors, they are well differentiated. They tend to grow slowly and usually have better prognosis. while the high-grade tumors are poorly differentiated or undifferentiated, are more aggressive, and often require intensive therapy. So to complete the staging, a series of diagnostic investigations are performed. So we have clinical examinations, which is to evaluate signs of local and systemic spread. Two, laboratory tests, which includes CBC or complete blood counts and liver function test to assess organ involvement or dysfunction. Third is mga imaging studies like mga x-rays, ultrasounds for initial assessment, CT scans or computed tomography and MRI para ma-evaluate kung ma-evaluate ang local tumor na nag-spread, and also the PET. PET scans or positron emission tomography para which is also helpful to detect mga metastases. So, ang diagnosis of solid tumors is nag-involve siya sa tissue confirmation via biopsy, tumor marker evaluation, staging using the TNM system, and grading based on cellular morphology, which are all supported by comprehensive panel of clinical and imaging investigations. So moving forward for treatment, which is also designed based on tumor type, stage, grade, and patient's overall health status. So the goals of treatments vary by case and may include cure, prolonged survival, and enhanced quality of life, and palliative care. So for the cure, it particularly localized or highly responsive tumors. And sa mga palliative care naman, of course, ito yung if ang cure is hindi na possible, so we will focus on mga symptom relief and supportive care. So for the treatment strategies, they are guided by several clinical decision factors. Number one is the extent of disease and tumor burden. Two is patient symptoms and performance status. Third, responsiveness or tumor types to various treatments. Another is coexisting medical conditions, and of course, ang patient's preferences, which is also very important in choosing the final treatment approaches. Next.
So for the treatment guidelines to be precise, so I will be reporting that. So for based on clinical research, especially randomized trials, national guidelines ensures and care and cost-effective treatment. Clinical trial participation is encouraged when no clear consensus exists. So those are the following treatment guidelines. For the treatment method is surgery. Also for the purpose of this treatment method is to surgically remove the tumor or complete incision with clear margins, which can potentially cure localized solid tumors. So the application for this is often the primary treatment for accessible tumors, especially in early stages. So surgery may also be performed to reduce tumor burden before other therapies or to palliate symptoms caused by tumor growth. So even though it has benefits, it also has limitations. So the limitation of it is it's not suitable for tumors that invade vital structures. So hindi po siya recommended. Kung example, if maapektuhan na po talaga yung brain niya and not metastasis or are unresectable due to its location or size. So yung areas that are hard to dissect. So for the second treatment methods it is the radiotherapy. So I would not read na lang the PPT now, pero I would like to explain that the purpose of this is to use high energy radiation to kill the cancer cells or inhibiting their cell growth, or I mean their growth. It can be used as a primary treatment, so adjuvant, post-surgery, or palliative care. So applications of this, so particularly effective for tumors in location where surgery is risky or impossible. So from this is if surgery is not recommended, so we go another step, which is the radiotherapy. So, or to shrink tumors before surgery. So edit pre-surgery. So it can also target residual microscopic disease. So the advances of this is techniques like stereotactic surgery, intensify modulated radiotherapy, and proton therapy allow for precise delivery, minimizing damage to surrounding tissues. So systemic therapy. So this includes chemotherapy, hormonal, biological, and targeted therapies. So what is this? What is systemic therapy? So it involves medication that circulate throughout the body to target cancer cells systemically. So nagatuyok yun siya sa buong body. So this is especially important when the tumor has metastasis beyond the primary site. So as stated earlier, the types of it is chemotherapy. So it uses cytotoxic drugs to kill rapidly dividing cell. It can be used neoadjuvantly, so before surgery, or adjuvantly, or after surgery, or for advanced disease. So the second type is the hormonal therapy. So this targets hormone-sensitive tumors. So for instance, breast and prostate cancers. So it blocks hormone production or hormone receptors. So that's for the hormonal therapy. And the third one is the biological therapy. So this includes agents such as monoclonal antibodies, so cytokines, and immune checkpoint inhibitors that manipulate the immune system or target specific tumor antigens. And for the last type, that is the targeted therapy. So it uses drugs designed to interfere with specific molecular pathways involved in tumor growth and survival. So what are the following examples of this? Is it attacks tyrosine kinase inhibitor, BRAF inhibitors. So what's the role of it, the systemic therapy overall? So the role of systemic therapy are crucial for metastatic disease, residual disease, post-surgery, or in cases where the local therapies are insufficient. So it also, we can combine it with surgery or radiotherapy use, or as stated in our PPT. So it treats widespread disease as a main approach. So it excludes alternative and complementary options. For the next part, please. So patient care. So assessment before treatment. So this includes diagnosis, staging, and general evaluating general fitness to influence treatment decision and prognosis. So to expound that ideas, before initiating treatment for solid tumors, so my comprehensive assessment is essential to determine the tumor's characteristic and patient's overall health status. So, for instance, this includes diagnostic imaging techniques such as CT scan, MRI, PET scans, and ultrasound help define tumor size, location, and metastasis. So, biopsy, NS pathology, laboratory tests, performance status evaluation, staging, and grading. So, those tests helps to properly diagnose and what would be the best possible approach for the goodness of the patient. So after assessment before treatment, so we go to pain management. So solid tumors cause significant pain. So almost all cancer man siguro it causes so much pain. So either directly through tumor invasion or indirectly via treatment side effects, effective management includes, so as stated there, so opioids and NSAID, so pharmacologic therapy, analgesics, so NSAID and the opioids, so adjuvant medicine, neuropathic agents, gabapentin, corticosteroid, or bisphosphonates for bone metastasis. So interventional procedures, so nerve blocks, epidural analgesia, or radiotherapy as stated earlier for localized pain relief. So multimodal approach, combining medication and technique to optimize pain control while minimizing side effects. So psychosocial support, addressing emotional and psychological aspects of pain and illness. So if sad na nga, if the patient is experiencing extreme sadness and additional with pain, so mas lalong lalala ang sakit. So for the next part, it is the bone marrow suppression management. Wait, pabalik. Ay, okay. Bone marrow suppression management. So this includes chemotherapy and other treatments that can suppress bone marrow, so leading to myelosuppression, so nag-result siya ng anemia, monitoring regular CBC to detect cytopenias early, so supportive care, so growth factors like granulocyte colony stimulating factors, or GSCSF, so for neutropenia, blood transfusion, for severe anemia or thrombocytopenia, infection prevention, antibiotics or antifungal agents as needed, strict aseptic techniques, dose adjustment, modifying chemotherapy dose based on bone marrow reserve and blood counts. Also, one of the most important is the patient education, recognizing signs of infection or bleeding and seeking prompt care. So for the next part, it is the chemotherapy management. So it also plays a vital role as a monotherapy or combined with surgery and radiation. Management includes treatment planning, selecting agents based on tumor type, stage, molecular profile, and patient factors. So administration, ensuring correct dose, monitor for toxicity, regular assessment for nausea, and more, and supportive care, antiemetics, hydration, nutritional support, and measure to reduce common side effects. So another is response evaluation. So use imaging and tumor markers to assess effectiveness, management of resistance, adjusting therapy, so patient counseling, so educate the potential effect, side effects, adherence, and importance of the follow-up. So that's all for the patient care. So for the next part, so the case, okay. So the conclusion, to wrap it all up, through this activity, we have gained a deeper understanding of solid tumors as explained earlier, including their etiology, pathophysiology as explained by my fellow groupmates, clinical manifestation, diagnosis, treatment, and patient care. We learned that solid tumors arise due to genetic mutation and environmental factors, leading to uncontrolled cell growth and potential metastasis. So there's a lot of factors that would lead to solid tumors. Recognizing symptoms early and utilizing appropriate diagnostic tools such as imaging and biopsy are crucial for effective management. So as early as possible, we need to remove it, so it would not become severe, so it would not become a life-threatening. So it's better that we get checked or diagnosed early. Treatment options vary depending on the tumor type and stage, with approaches like surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, and target therapy. So I explained that earlier, playing a key role in improving patient outcomes. Additionally, patient-centered care, including pain management and psychological support, is essential in providing holistic treatment. So as explained, I've also explained this earlier, so the pain management, because Solid tumors are very painful, so we need to give them NSAID and opioids depending on the severity. So psychological support, as also I mentioned it earlier, that uh, having this disease may also cause you stress mentally. So with uh, with being weak mentally and physically, it would result in a severe or more um, life-threatening. So it is essential for holistic treatment. Overall, this study has reinforced the importance of early detection, multidisciplinary treatment strategies, and compassionate patient care in managing solid tumors. The knowledge gained will help us as a future healthcare professionals in diagnosing, treating, and supporting patients with cancer. That's all for our report. Thank you for listening, and good night or good day, whatever time is it you will be watching this, and thank you.
Bye na guys.